Len, welcome to the show. I appreciate it. Welcome Think Community to Think Business and Sales. Looking forward to talking with Len Ward, former VP on Wall Street, Institutional Equity Trading Desk, now a digital marketing expert focusing on AI as well. Len, this is my favorite topic right now.
Yep.
I think marketing has always been quintessential in everything people do. I'm a business coach and I'm a big fan of marketing. I work with a lot of salespeople, managers, executives, leaders, small, solopreneurs to Fortune 100 companies, everything in between. Marketing to me is so critical. I always found it fascinating that when COVID hit, people were cutting their marketing budget, and I always thought they should double or triple their marketing budget at that time.
Agreed.
I want to talk a little bit about the power of marketing and why it's something that you need to do forever. And something that has, to me, that can power marketing, make marketing so much more powerful is utilizing AI in the process as well. So we have two great topics.
Sure.
So I want to start talking about AI. So for the listener, it amazes me still how many people are not using ChatGPT for anything more than a Google search right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of what I would consider late adopters that are waiting to see kind of how this works. You have the group of people that are using ChatGPT and many other, similar platforms to grow their business, grow their marketing. And then you have the other side of the world where you have the Amazons and those type of companies really looking into robots and how that level of AI is going to change the world. For the sake of this discussion, let's kind of focus on more of the first phase of the AI user. So here's my first question. I just want to kind of set a little foundation.
Sure.
When it comes to AI, I want to kind of start where we're going, and then I want to work backwards. And so we're recording this in November 2025. Let's pretend we're talking in November 2028. Where do you think AI will take us as solopreneurs, mid-sized companies, private, large-sized companies? Where do you think it will be? And then let's start working backwards of what we need to start doing today to educate ourselves, stay informed, not be scared of AI, but embrace it because we must. So 3 years from now, where will we be?
So I think AI will most likely, and this isn't me saying this, this is from all of my research and working with people, reading and so forth. I believe and agree with the assessment that AI is going to become the operational, what is it like the operational of our life. And I'm trying to think of I'm missing the term.
Operating system.
Operating system. Yeah, for some reason I'm struggling my words.
That's what I'm here for, Len. That's what I'm here for.
Appreciate it. Operating system of our life. I do believe companies and individuals, much the way you use your phone or much the way you're using, say, Microsoft or anything like that right now, I believe AI is going to replace all of that and is going to literally be that operating system of your life. Whether that's scheduling appointments, whether that's doing business for you, whether that's interacting with your consumers, your customers, whatever it may be, I do believe that's what we're going to be looking at in 2028. So I'll kind of go like a little step further on that.
Well, hold on. Before you go a step further, let's go a step back.
Okay.
So for the listener, right? So for the listener, what does that give me a visual of that? I interviewed a guy the other day, for example, who's an AI futurist. And he said within 3 to 5 years, everyone will have, not everyone, but a majority of people will have a robot in their house that will be folding laundry, cleaning. They can communicate with them. Here's certain ways to prompt ChatGPT. I've talked on the podcast how I'm using Claude. I use ChatGPT every day, but I'm using Claude to write my next book to assist me in that. So just give people something to kind of land and give some grounding to what you're saying.
So I think that, much the way you go to your phone or your computer and you're clicking on different apps to kind of open up and work on things, whether that be Salesforce, whether you're maybe even actually doing a text on your phone or anything along those lines, I believe AI is going to be a device-driven product. I do believe in 3 years' time that it will replace the modern phone of what you're used to. And if you were to say that to somebody back in 98, they would have laughed at you. You're going to walk around and this is going to be the entire life.
Right.
I believe AI is going to be some sort of wearable device, whether it's glasses, whether it's whatever it may be, and it'll be the operational foundation or operational, system of your life where you'll be able to text in there. Your medical records will be within there. Your credit cards, your finance, every single decision you make will live within an AI brain. And that will either be some sort of wearable device. It could look something like a phone, but I believe that's where the future will be, where you're not clicking and looking for various different things. You're going to interact with this in a voice or even a video, and it's going to talk to you and it's going to know you as good as anyone out there. So I do believe you're going to have this, we'll call it, for lack of a better term, companion. Maybe it is a robot. A robot could be a good thing. Maybe it is a robot walking around with you in some capacity or attached to you. And I think that's how your life is going to be operating with AI. And when you step back and think about that for a minute, that's a dramatic shift where everything of your entire life is in one spot. And if you just say it or look at it, it's actually going to come back and say, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's the shift you're looking at in 3 years. I think it's going to be that dramatic.
Just to kind of like bring the law of proximity a little bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that, only the uber wealthy had executive assistants, had a team of people that, would be working for them and being able to brainstorm and do certain activities for them. It really, I like to look at the practical ways and not fall into the fear element of it. And so if you look at it as if things that were only accessible from afar are now going to be accessible to the many, to the masses, and maybe expensive in the beginning, but like most technology, it becomes affordable more to the masses.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, so this right here is, as you talk about this companion, so will it give us more time to do what we want? Will it give us more freedom? Do you think it will stifle us? I do not believe when people say AI is making us dumber. I don't believe that. I think AI is making us much, 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 much smarter. I am dyslexic, and sometimes I have ideas in my head, but I know that I'm missing one little piece that I can't in my brain get to the next piece. Mm-hmm. I can put into ChatGPT an idea and say, what am I missing? And within 5 seconds, it can actually understand what I'm missing and give me something to then take my idea to the next level. And so how do you answer that question?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I'm in your camp. I vehemently disagree with people who say it's making me dumber. I come back and my questions are this. Were we smarter or dumber pre-phone, after phone? I'm talking Alexander Graham Bell type thing.
Yeah.
Were we smarter or dumber on the advent of the computer? Were we smarter or dumber with the advent of the internet? So to me, I think this is really going to unlock a lot of what humans maybe have in their mind. You know how many people that are walking around with great ideas, great visions, and they never had a chance because maybe they financially didn't have the resources, or they just overall didn't have the bandwidth to act on something they really thought about, a great app, a great business idea. Maybe you're solving a medical problem and you're just working at a hospital and nobody will listen to you. I think this is the type of thing with AI that's going to absolutely open that up. Now, do I think it's going to be a rough road until we get to that point? Yeah, I do think there's going to be job loss and there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road and a lot of anti-AI stuff. But you seem like, we're about close to the same age. We were seeing a lot of this same stuff when the internet first came out.
How old are you, Len?
I'm 53.
I'm 53. When's your birthday?
I'm July 18th.
May 15th. So I'm a little bit older.
But we're close. But you remember when the internet came out, don't you?
I had an internet company. I started an internet company out of college, of course. Netscape and strolling, things across the screen were very cutting edge.
Yeah. And we were told not to trust that. We were told, and I remember you were told years ago in the 70s and 80s, computers are going to take everybody's jobs, but they didn't. Again, I think there'll be some hiccups. I think there'll be some issues, but I am with you. I do believe we are going to get not just a little smarter. I think it's going to be tenfold smarter. Yeah. And I do think we're going to have more time on our hands. The thing I think the biggest revelation that's coming to me is agent to agent marketing. And that's where your personal agent, like we're talking about, your operating system, wearable, whatever it may be, robot, whatever, is going to interact with another business. It's going to interact with getting your car appointment done, knowing the credit card to put that car appointment on, booking your medical, your medical exams. And then when those exams come back, it's going to walk you through the medical exam saying this is what it means and let's make another appointment for a doctor. I know that sounds Star Trek, Star Wars type thing, but that is where we're headed. And now you got to think about the times of not sitting down doing your bills on a Sunday morning, making your medical appointments, getting your car in the shop. Think about the other free time you're going to have, and you would hope that unlocks something in your brain to say, I want to go create, I want to go build.
Well, so a couple of things. When you talk about unlocking things and all these ideas, there are so many people in the world that have amazing ideas, but can't spend, X amount of thousands or tens of thousands to brainstorm and hire those types of people to get their idea off the ground. And I'm just talking about ChatGPT and many of the others, you can say, hey, as my chief strategist, as my chief marketing officer, what would Rockefeller do here? I mean, there's so many ways that you can unlock it. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. But I want to talk about, we're the same age, 53. I was in the internet business. You're familiar with the internet business. You were in Wall Street. One of the things that seems to be different in this AI world that is evolving, to me, as I can see, and I've been interviewing a ton of AI people. When I started my internet business, I was 23 years old. My brother was 25 and our other business partner was 25. It was a young man's game. It was so new, nobody understood it. And we got a lot of business and beat a lot of people at my current age because we were young and understood the technology. Mm-hmm. It feels to me that although there are a lot of younger people in this space and doing phenomenal, and I learn from them every day as I study, but it's also kind of the middle-aged people too can really grow a successful business and an arm of their business in this, because we bring to the table a lot of experience in other businesses in life, and we've been through the dot-com world. So we have been following technology. So this time around, it doesn't seem like it's just a young man's game. It seems like there's value in listening to the seasonality of people who are seasoned in business and can interpret and curate additional ways on how to implement things into your business based on their experience. What are your thoughts on that?
You and I are singing the same song.
And I'm not saying that just because I'm 53. I'm saying it because I see it. I've been interviewing people in their 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, and they are futurists of AI, and they are in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm a big believer of the younger generation. I do think they're a little quicker than us. They're a little smarter than us. And I do think that they're, and as everybody wants to beat down on them, I do think their time is going to come, and they are amazing to work with. They're brilliant. They're bright. Amazing. But
I just want to add one thing, and important to embrace them. My parents always told me you can learn from everybody older and younger, because what we can teach them, they can equally teach us.
Yes.
On every level. Yeah.
So I agree, but the caveat with AI, and it's not because I'm a Gen Xer, this is a Gen X playing field right here, and it's exactly what you just said. AI works when you truly understand workflow processes, right, SOPs, whatever it may be for your business, for your industry, and then you can talk through that with these LLMs, large language model, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and you can kind of start going through, because you're the one who's able to identify the bottleneck. A 53-year-old is going to identify a bottleneck who's been in the business 25, 30 years, a lot quicker than somebody who's 25. The same thing, a 25-year-old in 25 years is going to be able to do the same thing that we're doing. So what ChatGPT has done and AI has done is really level the playing field, where because of our information, our experience, like you said, we can move so quick on this thing. So it's almost like our mind is being put in a young person's body with AI is what it is.
That is, I haven't been able to articulate it that way, in the way that you just said it, but I feel like I'm 23 again as I've been going through this last year. Like starting an internet business in my parents' basement with my brother and our buddy at our ping pong table in our basement. And that is the same energy that I feel. And I feel like I'm more youthful because this is, infusing into every element of business. So let's talk about on that note. So the world is changing very, very quickly. It seems to me, Len, that these last, for some reason, 3 to 6 months, it has been accelerating AI on a completely different level.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because you have Tony Robbins all of a sudden offering, which I took a 9-hour session, and saying, hey, here's this. And there's more of the quote unquote mainstream people really kind of like pushing the education and I'll say responsibility to learn the technology. And so let's kind of talk about that for a minute. I don't like to talk about fear, but there is a reality that AI is going to take jobs that historically human beings once took. But there's also another way of looking at it, that if we educate ourselves, we'll be prepared for whatever is to come. And some of those things, we don't even know what they are yet. From your perspective, being on Wall Street and now in the AI and marketing world, what can people do to educate themselves on the daily so they're ahead of it and not always feeling behind?
So the number one thing I think that they have to pay attention to is we are being fed so much content right now that and I'm not going to get on a tangent, but I actually think one of the reasons people struggle mentally with a lot of different things is because our brains aren't really designed to be absorbing this much information this quickly. It'll change. Again, that 25-year-old, they're completely ready for this. 53-year-olds, it's a lot of information coming at us that you're trying to process. So if you are trying to process Anthony Robbins, I did see that Anthony Robbins is involved, and I think Grant Cardone's getting involved. So all the big super, top of the level or, top of the heap talking heads are in. Then God forbid you put on YouTube Shorts or Facebook and you got another guru telling you about it. The number one thing you have to do is step back and say, if you can interact with a ChatGPT, a Claude, or a Gemini and start having conversations with it about your business, your finances, and how you're running things, that is an excellent foundation.
Yeah.
If you can turn around and make sure that you have all of your scopes of work, your consumer data, whatever it may be, in a data room, which is as easy as a Dropbox or Google Drive, and you can plug that stuff into your LLMs, that's all you need to worry about at this exact moment. Yeah. All the other stuff is just, they're trying to grab a click, they're trying to sell you a product, they're trying to do something. Just know, if you start there, that's the number one thing you have to focus on. And don't worry about all the shiny bells and whistles, because what I tell people all the time, every single AI product that's out there right now is built on top of OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, Claude, Anthropic, or it's built on Gemini. If any one of those three decide to make a change, they could literally upend any single AI product out there. Know the foundations, much like people had to know Netscape, Google, ASG, all that back then. So stick with that major foundation block, and then you build your way all the way up. But in summary, just remember, there's so much noise coming at you. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Because I'm an Anthony Robbins fan, but I saw that too, and I'm like, Anthony, what are we doing here? Like, your speech should have been, this is how you process the information, not this is how you capitalize on AI. Because there's a whole business out there on teach people how to digest this content opposed to how to work on it. So I was a little taken back with that too when I saw it.
Yeah, and so I'll say this too, based on what you just said. It's really important that people fall into the idea of how you prompt AI. And to me, that would be when I'm talking to people about, chat or any of the other things, Claude, doesn't matter, Croc, all of them. How you talk to it. If you almost talk to it like it's an executive assistant, like it's a business partner of yours versus just a computer, you ask it certain questions and get pretty granular based on you. Right? Here's kind of the context of what I'm looking for. Here's the task I'm trying to accomplish. Here's the outcome and the result I'm looking for. I mean, as my chief strategy officer, as my chief marketing officer, as my business partner, what would you advise me? Yada, yada. So I think that's a really good thing. Play around with it for 1 to 5 minutes a day. Okay. All right. So that's AI. Let's talk a little bit about the power of marketing. As a business coach, people ask me all the time, how long should I do marketing? I say forever. How long should I follow up with a certain plan? Forever. I mean, it's especially today, as you mentioned, and I agree, there's so much noise. I interviewed somebody the other day. We were talking about how it takes 18 months for somebody to change their mind. And so you really got to be marketing and educating and staying in front. So let's talk marketing fundamentally. Fundamentally, define marketing in a sentence.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what I believe, because it's something I believe now. Fundamentally in marketing is, how will you solve your potential customer or customer's problem?
Right.
That to me is it.
So So we have that. Okay, so now we identify a problem. Now, how do we know what to do next? Where do we layer in marketing? Because I think that is something that people get confused about. Is it a blog once a month? What do I do? So how do I build the building blocks of a marketing plan from identifying the pain? I know my products. Now, what do I do?
So I think that's a bigger conversation, because to me, we're moving out of search and retrieve world, which is I'm going to go search on a search engine and I'm going to look at all the information that's coming back to me, or I'm going to contact the company and the company's going to send me out a bunch of information, or a salesperson is going to talk to me through it, and I'm going to digest all of that, and then I'm going to say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do to solve my problem. We're moving over to a solve my problem world. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to go to Perplexity. I'm going to tell you what my issue is, and you're going to come back and you're going to tell me not only how to solve my problem, but you're going to tell me why the problem happened, why it continues happening, and this is exactly why you should work with XYZ company or this is your solution, and this company offers that solution. So marketing, the fundamentals of marketing and all the building blocks that we have used on marketing because of AI is now being completely upended. So as a marketer, as a salesperson, you now have to, face forward, tip of the spear's got to be, how can I solve that problem, opposed to let me keep giving you more and more content.
Right.
And that's why.
Can I add something to that? Yeah. Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
I also think there's this idea that it's like marketing for a day there's a magic pill. And I don't think there's anything magical about marketing other than consistency. And there is, marketing is about solving a problem, everything you're talking about, but there is a process to it, like anything else. And to me, it's a 1-year process or a 2-year process or a 3-year process. So talk about the power of continuity, consistency, patience, delayed gratification, laying the foundation, what that means and how you go about doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to go traditional marketing that they would teach in marketing school right now, is that you got to think about how many touch points you have to have with that individual for them to think, hey, you know what? I think John can solve my problem. When to go work with them. Whether that is something, as simple as retargeting on social media, on Google, YouTube, whatever it may be, whether that's making sure you're consistently doing an email campaign, making sure you have some sort of CRM that's doing some sort of outreach, giving you like a tickle saying you got to, reach out to this person right now, because it's been a month. So making sure that you're consistently along that buyer's journey, where you are paying for digital ads or maybe even traditional type of advertising, and then following up with old school sales tactics, customer service, making sure you're developing a relationship with that individual. So you still have to do that stuff. And I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Yeah.
I just think that marketing, we're moving so quickly to agent marketing that I think people will have to start paying attention to that. So, but the question is what? Well, okay, well, how's that going to work, and what am I going to do to make that happen? Everything we've done from the old school way, we have to try to find a way to distill that to the new way. So, and that's where I think we are with it. But to answer your question, the number one thing you have to identify is how many touch points did it take for me to actually get that conversion through the front door. And then when you have that number, you go, how many is it? It depends. If you're B2B, it could be 10 to 15. I was with a client the other day and they told me their runway is 18 months on a sale. 18 months. Normally it's 9 months for B2B. I was like 18 months. Wow. So you got to start thinking about your customer acquisition cost at that point. How much money does this look like? And because take away Google and Facebook and all the advertisements, think about all the time a salesperson has just trying to get that deal in the front door. So that can really balloon up your customer acquisition costs. So I don't know if that'll answer your question, but that's kind of where I'm at with marketing.
Well, it does answer my question. I think it could be upward to 100 times, frankly. I think people are so distracted between, and that's based on, one logo. You throw your logo and you make it look a little bit different. It can throw things off even more. So I think, yeah. So somebody comes to Commexis.com, COMMEXIS.com. They're going to see something that says AI that works for your marketing, your sales, your service, your workflows. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about AI. We talked a little bit about marketing, and now you're kind of mixing it all into one. Yeah. So talk about how you do that for your clients. So what is your system, your process?
So the process is you work with me directly, and then I have my talented in-house team that actually, supports. We're a team of about 7 people. You work with me. I help you develop an AI blueprint, and then either our team implements it, your team implements it, or we both work together to implement it. But we typically start off with marketing because everybody understands marketing. All companies understand marketing. And we basically say, this is how AI can change your marketing. This is how it can change the bottlenecks of your marketing. And we implement an AI system. And that's as simple as building AI marketing stacks on ChatGPT. That's custom GPT on top of custom GPT all the way up. That's adding AI chatbots to the website. So once we kind of have that, and then maybe putting like another AI product on the website that's solving that problem right now for the customer. And then once we kind of get that built out, then we start thinking about your internal customer service team. Are there internal AI chatbots we can pull? Is there custom GPTs we can pull? And then once we start establishing those foundations, we then start moving into your workflow foundations. Where are the bottlenecks? Why is it this taking so long to handle? Why is that taking so long to handle? Is there anything from an AI perspective we can add? And now we're starting to touch into AI agents, which I still believe are a little bits away. A lot of people have it as like, you're doing this and doing that. Agent is when a GPT or an LLM can actually create something for you on the fly that's functional and works. We're not there. Humans still have to build that. But we are starting to move into agents where we're portaling leads into certain touch points where our customers can look at it and see the lead immediately. You text it, all that. So that's kind of how we work with you. But the main thing is we basically start with marketing because that's the easiest entry point into AI and understanding AI.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so that's a lot. And I think a lot of times, to your point, we talked a little bit about instant gratification that people like. There is a process in what you talked about. And I think some people have kind of an internal conflict where it's like, I know I need to do this in the process, but I want it right now. And so how do you kind of shift the mindset of the, person who feels like they're listening to this and now they feel like they're behind and now they want to rush the process, to versus like, hey, be patient and the results will come.
The number one thing I like to do with customers, and this is something anybody who's selling AI services or marketing out there should do, is get an AI chatbot on your customer's website. And the minute your client, customer, mainly the CEO, once it sees that your website now has a voice and is talking to you or talking to your consumers, you would be alarmed at what your customers are asking and what they're looking for and what your website's coming back and saying to them. The minute we do that for customers, even prospective clients, and say, hey, here's a link. Take a look at this AI chatbot we trained up for you. It's only trained up about 20% because there's a lot of data rooms and things you want to build with it. It's not just putting the code on a website. There's other stuff behind it. The minute we show them that, they're floored and they're 100% in on AI. And that is, I think, the number one thing you really want to try to do, because what does that do right away? Well, what's the instant gratification? You now know what type of content you have to create. You now know what customers really, really want because they're literally telling you their problems. You know how they're looking at your website, and you're now seeing how they're interacting with your website. So it gives your customer service an edge. It gives your content and marketing team an edge. But more importantly, it gives your sales team an edge, because now the sales team is like, that's what they're looking for. That's what it is. And I have yet to put this on a customer's website and for not one person in the room to say, we never thought about that. I'm talking major companies that are 100 years old. And the first line I see is, we never thought about that. And I said, that's what AI is going to do for you. So now think it is. And the minute they see it, the decisions start rolling in. Now they're like, all right, change this, change that. And they get better and better and better. So that's probably the best way we go about AI. You got to be in sales. We're all in sales and marketing, right? You got to have a little sizzle on the steak. So that is right there. That's the number one marketing thing. I'm like, here it is. Take a look at it. And 99.9% of people are blown away. The 0.1 that are not blown away are the ones that just want nothing to do with AI. And that's fine. We're not here to, we don't want to sell them on AI. AI should sell itself.
Should sell itself. It's great. Something you learned in Wall Street, right? So you're in the equity world, you're in the Wall Street. What did you learn and what got you into this world from that world?
I think everybody knows on Wall Street, you have a runway, right? There are some people that make tremendous careers and they do great, but there are times when you get burnt out or mergers, acquisitions happen. So I worked for Credit Suisse, DLJ, and Credit Suisse merged, and I was one of the victims of the merger. So your question, what is the number one thing I learned from Wall Street?
I mean, what did you learn and what was the lesson learned, and like what got you over to this world?
Well, I think what got me over to this world, quite honestly, was it was one of those things where I ended up starting an e-commerce company after Wall Street. And one of the things I learned 20 some odd years ago, starting an e-commerce company, was you needed a thing called Google to start bringing traffic in the front door. Years ago, you were advertising on eBay and things like that, if you can believe it. That is how a lot of e-commerce worked 25 years ago. But we realized we had to do something on Google. We hired a marketing team out of Ohio. They were atrocious, nice people, but didn't know what they were doing. I decided to step back and say, I'm going to learn every single thing again about SEO, pay-per-click, web design, coding. Even went back to school to learn how to code. By no means am I a good coder. It was just enough where I could talk the verbiage. So next thing you know, the housing bubble happened. So another hiccup happened along my career where people were not investing in the products we were selling anymore. And I had to figure something out. But what I was getting were people I knew through networking saying, hey, can you tell me about this digital marketing? Like, how did you do it? And what does this SEO thing happen? I say it. Next thing you know, I walked in, I had 25 people working for me and I had an agency. That's how it happened. The number one thing I learned on Wall Street that I, to this day, really take away with me is how much money is in your company at the end of the day, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year. Not what your revenue was. What is the free cash flow at the end of the year that you can have, that you can improve your business via acquisitions, whatever it may be. Too many companies out there are shooting for the top line number when the reality of the situation is what grows you is the bottom line number. And I can't tell you how many times I sat in meetings as a junior and as a kid listening to these companies, the .com era, pitching these really smart fund managers, and some of the fund managers bid on it, but the smart ones that are still around now would literally look at them and say, yeah, but there's no money at the end of the day. And you can't even tell me when you're going to have money at the end of the day. If you can't explain that, and if your business doesn't produce cash at the end of the day that you can bring to the bank or grow the business out, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing I learned from Wall Street. Cash is king, and what type of cash is in your bank account.
Amen. Amen. Right. You can have the greatest ideas, but if nobody will pay for them and you don't have any money, you can't do what you love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll add one thing to that, which is you got to give your employees a reason to come back the next day.
Yeah. But that's even better. It's a great line. Yeah, that's true.
Because, the days of tyrant leadership is over and, getting getting less and less popular. So
yeah, that's no way to operate. You and I know that.
Not at all.
Those days are done. Work as a beehive and everybody works together. That's how you do it.
That's amen. Amen. All right, let's do a quick speed round. Book that's had a big impact on you, Len.
E-Myth by Michael Gerber. E-Myth was great.
Great. I think it should be mandatory reading for, all business schools. People who are starting a business should read that book. It's
100% agree with that.
Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Best piece of wisdom I ever received. I tell people all the time, I was lucky enough to caddy for Charles Barkley at a golf course. And I asked Charles Barkley right before we were done our round, I said, Charles, I'm a big fan. I'm from Philadelphia. Tell me what made you great. And I'll never forget, he looked at me, he goes, indecision will kill you. He goes, if you go talk to any great athlete, how they got great, they made a decision and they never thought twice about it. Indecision will kill you. And I to this day, I walk around with that thought, make a decision, and that's it, and move on.
That is so good. So good. Last question. One thing everybody can do to make a really important decision on making AI a part of their daily lives is
build a custom GPT that you can interact with on a daily basis. And I'll make it really easy for you. Go to ChatGPT and say, I want to create a ChatGPT or a custom GPT to teach me how to start using AI on a daily basis. It will literally give you the prompt and give you instructions on exactly how to build it. Do that starting tomorrow and watch how good you are, say 30, 60, 90 days at AI.
Yeah, it's great. Len, this was great. I really appreciate your insight and your time and community. We talked a lot about today, a lot of great things with AI and marketing, taking ownership of what we can, which Len just shared. I just did a workshop on that for a company on how to actually build your own chatbot on ChatGPT so you can really start interacting. I think it's so important. All of the little things, learning how to prompt, using the technology, embracing it, and just thinking about AI on the daily, thinking about marketing Marketing is a process. It takes time. A lot of times you got to slow down and find your pause, which can be hard for business people and business owners. That's why you need somebody to help guide the way, in my opinion, Len. Somebody like you, it doesn't, and I have no vested interest, but whether it's Len or somebody that can slow you down and make sure that you're dotting every I and crossing every T, because things are moving really fast. You want to make sure you get it right. So Len, I appreciate your insights in the community. You can reach Len on his website. Give me your website and tell him who your ideal clients are and where they can connect with you, Len.
Yeah, Commexis.com, COMMEXIS.com. Typically, we work best with B2B manufacturers. We also work well with law firms. So if you're in the B2B service business or a law firm, we typically work best with you.
It's great. And they can connect with you just on your website. Do you have an email, phone number you want to share?
You can actually, if you want to email me, you can do Len Ward at Commexis. But if you hit the contact form, we do pick and choose who we work with, not because we're better than anybody, just because of our bandwidth. That contact form comes directly to me. And even if you just want to have a conversation about AI, I am more than happy to have that conversation with you. So reach out.
That's great. Len, this was great. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Think community, reach out to Len if he can help you. If you want to chat about any business coaching, you can reach me at johndwoskin.com. Len, thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.